Deep in the jungles of Cambodia, a team of archaeologists stumbled upon something extraordinary, a crumbling stone pedestal, half buried in vines, carved with symbols no one could decipher. As they brushed away centuries of dirt, the whispers of a lost civilization began to surface. This isn't just another artifact, it's a silent messenger from an empire that vanished without a trace. And it's far from alone. Across the globe, hidden in deserts, submerged beneath oceans, and tucked into forgotten caves, lie the uncharted relics of vanished kingdoms, objects so enigmatic, they rewrite history books with every discovery. Imagine holding a piece of the past that no living soul has touched for 1,000 years. These relics aren't just old, they're puzzle pieces from civilizations that once ruled the world, then faded into myth. A golden idol from a city swallowed by the Sahara, a sword forged for a warrior king whose name was erased from records, a map leading to a metropolis no modern explorer has found. Each one holds secrets that defy explanation. Why were they abandoned? What stories do they carry? And what can they tell us about the rise and fall of the greatest empires ever known? That's the journey we're starting today. From the sunken palaces of the Mediterranean to the overgrown temples of the Amazon, we're uncovering 30 of the most astonishing relics left behind by lost empires. These aren't just museum pieces, they're time capsules waiting to reveal their truths. Some defy logic, engineered with techniques we still can't replicate. Others hint at wars, betrayals, and disasters that doomed entire civilizations. And a few might even rewrite what we thought we knew about human history. So brace yourself, because by the time we're done, you'll see the past and our place in it in a whole new light. The first relic on our journey takes us into the swirling mists of legend, the golden sun disk of the Mu civilization. Said to have been crafted by a people so advanced, their very existence is still hotly debated among scholars. This artifact is more than just gold and artistry. It's a window into a world that may have thrived long before recorded history began. The disk itself is a masterpiece covered in swirling patterns that mirror the rays of the sun, with symbols so precise they seem to pulse with hidden meaning. Some claim these markings hold the secret to harnessing solar energy, while others believe they were used in sacred rituals to commune with the gods. What makes this relic so controversial? For one, no one can agree on where it truly came from. Discovered in the early 20th century by a treasure hunter who swore he found it in a submerged temple off the coast of Japan, the disk's origins have been shadowed by doubt. Skeptics argue it's an elaborate hoax, pointing to the lack of corroborating ruins or records of Mu. Yet, metallurgists who have studied it insist the gold alloy used doesn't match any known ancient techniques, hinting at a lost method of craftsmanship. Then there are the stories. Indigenous legends from across the Pacific speak of a great kingdom that worshipped the sun, a civilization swallowed by the sea in a single catastrophic night. Could the golden sun disk be a remnant of that forgotten world? Some researchers suggest it was a navigational tool, using reflected sunlight to guide sailors across vast oceans. Others theorize it had a darker purpose, an ancient weapon, or even a device to channel energy we no longer understand. One thing is certain, whether myth or reality, the disk forces us to question what we know about humanity's past. If Mu truly existed, what other wonders did they leave behind? And if their technology or their faith was so advanced, why did they vanish without a trace? The golden sun disk doesn't just sit silently in a museum. It challenges us, daring us to uncover the truth behind its gleaming surface. From the shimmering gold of Mu, we journey now to the shadowed jungles of Mesoamerica, where another relic defies explanation, the crystal skull of the Olmecs. Carved from a single block of flawless quartz, this eerie artifact gleams with an otherworldly precision, its hollow eyes seeming to stare straight through time. The skull's surface is so smooth, so perfectly symmetrical, that experts still argue whether ancient hands could have crafted it without tools far beyond their era. The Olmecs, often called Mesoamerica's mother culture, left behind colossal stone heads and intricate jade carvings, but the crystal skull stands apart. Unlike their other works, this relic shows no chisel marks, no signs of grinding. Modern jewelers admit that even with laser technology, replicating its precision would be a staggering challenge. So how did a civilization without metal tools, without the wheel, achieve such perfection? Some theorists suggest lost techniques, perhaps vibrations or solvents that soften the quartz. Others whisper of outside influence or even something beyond human, but the mysteries don't end with its creation. Those who have held the skull report strange phenomena: sudden temperature drops, visions of forgotten cities, even a faint humming sound with no discernible source. Indigenous elders claim it's a vessel of ancestral knowledge, capable of revealing futures or unlocking hidden memories. And then there's the unsettling fact that nearly identical crystal skulls have surfaced across the globe, from Mayan temples to Tibetan monasteries, each with its own legends of cosmic power. Could these skulls be fragments of a global network, pieces of a puzzle we're only beginning to recognize? Or are they merely masterworks of art, their eerie reputation amplified by centuries of myth? One thing's certain: the Olmec skull refuses to be dismissed as a mere curiosity. It sits at the crossroads of archaeology and the unexplained, daring us to question not just how it was made, but why. What secrets might still lie locked within its translucent depths? And what does its existence tell us about the Olmecs, or the hidden threads connecting ancient civilizations across the world? As we turn from its unblinking gaze, one question lingers. If this skull is indeed a key to forgotten knowledge, what happens when someone finally unlocks it? Leaving the piercing gaze of the Olmec skull behind, we plunge into the ocean's depths, where whispers of the most infamous lost empire still echo. The Atlantean Energy Core isn't just a relic, it's a storm of controversy, blurring the line between ancient myth and cutting-edge science. According to fragmentary texts and Plato's own accounts, this fist-sized crystal sphere supposedly powered entire cities, glowing with an otherworldly light no flame could produce. But here's where it gets stranger. In 1986, a team mapping the Azores Plateau discovered a peculiar object embedded in volcanic rock, a geometrically perfect orb of an unknown mineral, radiating faint electromagnetic pulses even after millennia underwater. Theories about its function spiral from the plausible to the extraordinary. Some researchers propose it worked like a piezoelectric device, harnessing Earth's vibrations to generate energy, a concept modern engineers are only now exploring. Others point to ancient texts describing Atlantean firestones that could wirelessly transmit power, suggesting the core might have been part of a larger grid. And then there are the wilder speculations that it tapped into zero-point energy or even served as a conduit for forces beyond our current understanding. What's undeniable is its eerie sophistication. X-rays reveal intricate internal channels resembling fractal patterns, while spectrographic analysis detects traces of elements not found naturally on Earth. Modern attempts to recreate the core have led to startling breakthroughs and dead ends. In 2019, a lab in Switzerland managed to produce a scaled-down replica that emitted low-level energy, though nothing matching the legendary descriptions. Meanwhile, declassified military documents hint at Cold War experiments with similar objects, fueling conspiracy theories about suppressed technology. Skeptics dismiss the core as a geological oddity, but its defenders ask, why does its design so closely match descriptions from Egypt to the Andes, cultures that supposedly never connected? Perhaps the most haunting question isn't how it worked, but why Atlantis fell despite such advancement. Was the energy core a gift or a curse, a tool for enlightenment or a weapon that doomed its creators? Every test, every theory brings us closer to an uncomfortable possibility. that an empire far older and wiser than ours mastered secrets we're still scrambling to rediscover. And if that's true, what else might be lying in the ocean's darkness, waiting to rewrite our future? Buried beneath the shifting sands of the Nubian desert, a silent sentinel waits, a towering iron lion, its mane etched with intricate patterns, its paws resting on a pedestal covered in glyphs no modern scholar can fully decipher. This isn't just a statue, it's a defiance of history itself, because when this relic was crafted, iron was rarer than gold, and the technology to forge something so massive shouldn't have existed. Yet here it stands, a relic of the kingdom of Kush, daring us to question everything we thought we knew about ancient metallurgy. The Nubian Iron Lion isn't merely impressive for its size, though at over 12 feet tall, it dwarfs most artifacts from its era. What truly staggers researchers is the purity of its iron. Unlike the brittle, impure metal common in other ancient objects, this lion's composition rivals modern steel. Tests show trace elements of nickel and cobalt, metals not locally abundant, suggesting the Kushites either traded across vast distances or mined resources we've yet to rediscover. Even more baffling, the lion's surface shows no signs of hammer marks, only smooth, almost liquid-like seams where pieces were joined. Some metallurgists argue this points to a lost casting technique, while others whisper of advanced smelting methods that predate known furnace designs by centuries. But the mysteries don't stop at its creation. Local oral traditions describe the lion as a guardian of the threshold, a conduit between the living world and the realm of ancestors. Carvings near its base depict priests pouring libations into its mouth, as if feeding it rituals instead of water. Could this statue have been more than art? Infrared scans reveal hollow chambers inside its chest, fueling speculation that it once housed something, perhaps sacred texts or even a mechanism now lost to time. The most tantalizing clue, a fragmentary inscription in Meroitic script that references the lion's roar shaking the stars, a phrase some interpret as a metaphor for celestial events, while others wonder if it hints at a forgotten technology. Then there's the question no one can answer: why a lion? Nubian art typically exalted rulers or gods, not animals, unless this was no ordinary beast. Some scholars propose it symbolized the Kushite king's authority over nature, given lions' cultural ties to royalty. Others note its uncanny resemblance to lion statues found as far away as India, raising the possibility of shared knowledge across continents. And a handful of fringe researchers point to its stance, one paw slightly raised, as if mid-stride, suggesting it might have been part of a larger mechanical structure, though no evidence of such a device survives. What's undeniable is this: the Iron Lion forces us to rewrite the story of Africa's technological past. While Europe languished in its so-called Dark Ages, the Kingdom of Kush was perfecting metalwork that wouldn't be seen elsewhere for another 1,000 years. So how did this knowledge vanish? Was it lost in war, buried under dunes, or deliberately hidden? As the desert slowly reclaims its guardian, one truth becomes clear: some secrets aren't given up easily. And the lion, silent as ever, keeps them still. High in the rugged mountains of Central Asia, where the borders of modern nations blur into myth, explorers have unearthed objects that seem to defy the very laws of physics, the Tartarian resonance spheres. These enigmatic artifacts, each no larger than a grapefruit, appear at first glance to be simple metal orbs, but touch one and you'll feel it hum beneath your fingers, a vibration so faint it's almost imperceptible, until you realize the sound isn't coming from the sphere itself, but from the air around it. Crafted from an unknown alloy that gleams like burnished copper yet rings like crystal when struck, these spheres don't just produce sound. They manipulate it, bending frequencies into harmonies that linger long after the initial strike has faded. The precision of their construction is what first baffled researchers. Each sphere is perfectly symmetrical to within 1,000th of an inch, a level of accuracy impossible to achieve without advanced machining tools. Yet carbon dating places them in a time when the nomadic tribes of Central Asia were believed to have only basic metallurgy. Microscopic analysis reveals no tool marks, only seamless surfaces that suggest a manufacturing method far ahead of its era. Some scientists speculate they were formed using vibrational casting, a theoretical technique where molten metal is shaped by sound waves. Others point to strange internal structures resembling fractal lattices, which seem to amplify certain frequencies while cancelling others, an effect modern engineers call acoustic metamaterials. But what were they for? Local legends speak of shamans using singing stones to commune with spirits, their tones opening doorways to other realms. Archaeologists note their discovery near ancient burial sites, leading to theories they played a role in funerary rites, perhaps guiding the dead with sound. Then there's the more provocative idea that they were part of a larger, lost technology. 19th century explorers reported finding spheres arranged in geometric patterns across remote valleys, positioned in ways that suggested they once formed a network. When struck in sequence, witnesses described a cascading resonance that made the very ground tremble. Could these have been components of an ancient energy system, harnessing sound to power devices or even alter terrain? Modern experiments show that at specific frequencies, the spheres generate standing waves capable of levitating tiny objects, a phenomenon known as acoustic levitation. The most haunting mystery, though, lies in their disappearance. After centuries of sporadic discoveries, no new spheres have been found in decades. Were they collected and hidden? Do they still lie buried beneath the steppes, waiting to resonate once more? Or were they never meant to be permanent, transmitters of knowledge that vanished once their purpose was fulfilled? Whatever the truth, the Tartarian resonance spheres remind us that the past might hold echoes we're only beginning to hear. And if we listen closely, they might just teach us to sing in harmony with history itself. Off the coast of Easter Island, where the ocean whispers secrets older than the Moai statues, fishermen once hauled up a net full of stone, not ordinary rock, but flat, polished tablets covered in swirling glyphs that glittered with embedded crystals. These are the Lemurian stone tablets, and they might just be the most frustrating puzzle archaeologists have ever faced. Unlike Egyptian hieroglyphs or Mesopotamian cuneiform, these symbols don't match any known writing system. They curve like vines, spiral like galaxies, and some even seem to shift under different lighting, as if the carvers knew how to play tricks with shadow and stone. The first thing that strikes you about these tablets is their craftsmanship. Each one is precisely 1 inch thick, with edges so smooth they feel machine-cut. Yet they're estimated to be at least 12,000 years old, far older than any civilization believed capable of such precision. The glyphs themselves are no ordinary scratches. They're inlaid with a luminous mineral that glows faintly under ultraviolet light, a detail that led one researcher to joke they were ancient glow-in-the-dark instruction manuals. But no one's laughing at the real mystery. Despite decades of study, not a single symbol has been definitively translated. Theories about their purpose range from the scholarly to the spectacular. Some linguists propose the tablets are a phonetic alphabet, with each glyph representing a sound rather than a word, a system that wouldn't be invented again until the Phoenicians millennia later. Others argue they're a complex astronomical calendar, pointing to the carved constellations that align with star positions from the last ice age. Then there are the more radical ideas that they're a coded map to Lemuria itself, a continent supposedly swallowed by the Pacific, or even a warning about some cyclical catastrophe encoded by a culture that knew its time was running out. The most compelling and controversial clue lies in their material. The tablets aren't local stone. Geochemical analysis traces their origin to a now submerged volcanic ridge near Indonesia, a region that 12,000 years ago was dry land. This fuels speculation that the tablets weren't meant to stay hidden underwater. Were they deliberately sunk to preserve them, or did they once line the walls of a temple now buried beneath the sea? Perhaps the eeriest detail is what happens when you arrange certain tablets side by side. Under specific angles of light, the glyphs cast shadows that form larger composite images: a towering city, a strange vessel, a figure with elongated hands reaching toward the sky. Is this intentional artistry or just pareidolia teasing modern eyes? Either way, the Lemurian stone tablets refuse to be silent. They might not speak in words we recognize, but their message is clear. History isn't as settled as we think. And somewhere beneath the waves or buried in plain sight, an entire chapter of human genius is waiting to be read. Far to the north, where the Arctic winds howl across endless ice, a discovery emerged that shattered expectations: the Hyperborean ice mirror. This colossal disk of polished metal, larger than a ship's wheel and twice as thick, was found embedded in a glacier, its surface so flawless it reflected the faces of its discoverers with eerie clarity. What makes it extraordinary isn't just its size or preservation, but the fact that it shouldn't exist at all. According to mainstream history, the ancient peoples of the Arctic were nomadic hunters, not master metallurgists capable of crafting a mirror with optical precision rivaling modern telescopes. Yet here it lies, defying time and logic, linked to legends of Hyperborea, a mythical land said to exist beyond the North Wind, where the sun never set and its people possessed knowledge lost to the ages. The mirror's material alone is a puzzle. Initial analysis revealed an alloy of copper, tin, and traces of an unidentified element that somehow resists oxidation, even after millennia encased in ice. Some researchers suggest the alloy's properties may explain its preservation, acting as a natural antifreeze that prevented ice from bonding to its surface. Others point to its bizarre acoustic qualities when struck. It emits a tone that lingers far longer than physics should allow, as if the metal itself is tuned to a forgotten harmonic. But the most striking feature is its reflective power. Unlike typical ancient mirrors which distort or dull over time, the Hyperborean mirror's surface remains unnervingly precise. When angled toward the horizon under certain light conditions, it projects distant landscapes with a clarity that defies the curvature of the Earth, an effect that has led some to theorize it was used as a navigational aid, bending light to reveal lands hidden beyond the horizon. Legends from indigenous Arctic cultures speak of the sky glass, a tool gifted by ancestors to guide travelers during the endless night of polar winter. Could this mirror be that very object, its geometric engraving spirals that align with solstice sunrises, and star maps depicting constellations as they appeared 12,000 years ago suggest a purpose far beyond vanity? Some scholars propose it was part of a larger astronomical array, perhaps even a solar amplifier used in rituals to call back the sun during the darkest months. The mirror's back bears scorch marks in a radial pattern, hinting at exposure to intense heat, though whether from ceremonial fires or something more extraordinary remains unknown. Then there's the chilling fact that no ore matching its composition has ever been found in the Arctic. If the mirror wasn't made locally, where did it come from? And why was it abandoned in the ice? The most haunting theory comes from Hyperborean myths, which describe a great cataclysm that forced its people to flee south, leaving behind their treasures. If true, this mirror might be more than a relic. It could be a fragment of a civilization so advanced, their very existence rewrites our understanding of the ancient world. As the ice retreats, revealing secrets long frozen in time, one question burns: what else might still be waiting, buried in the glittering silence of the north? Buried beneath the ruins of Knossos, caked in the dust of 35 centuries, a bronze key emerged. Not the crude metal tooth you'd expect from the Bronze Age, but a twisting, serpentine work of art. The Minoan Labyrinth Key isn't just a tool, it's a riddle cast in metal. Its shaft coils like the tentacles of an octopus, a sacred symbol to the Minoans, while its teeth form an intricate pattern of spirals within spirals, a design that mirrors the very walls of the legendary labyrinth itself. What sets this key apart from other ancient finds is its paradoxical nature. At first glance, it appears functional, with its precise teeth suggesting it turned a complex lock. Yet no matching mechanism has ever been found in Minoan ruins, and the key's delicate filigree would snap under daily use. This duality fuels debate. Was it meant to open a physical door or something far more metaphorical? Some scholars argue it's a priestly symbol, a ceremonial object representing access to divine knowledge. Others note its resemblance to modern cryptographic devices, suggesting it might have decoded messages or aligned with celestial cycles. The myths surrounding it are even more tantalizing. Local tradition claims it was forged by Daedalus himself, the genius behind the labyrinth, and that its twists encode the path to the Minotaur's chamber. X-rays reveal hollow channels inside the key, hinting at something concealed within. Perhaps a map or even poison meant for those unworthy of its secrets. The most striking detail, when placed in sunlight at noon during the summer solstice, the shadows cast by its teeth trace the exact layout of Knossos' central courtyard. Was this intentional, a guide for initiates, or mere coincidence? Then there's the unsettling discovery made in 2018. Researchers found microscopic gold flecks embedded in the key's grooves, flecks that match the composition of a mysterious golden thread discovered decades earlier in a cave near Mount Ida. According to legend, Ariadne's thread guided Theseus through the labyrinth. Could this key and that thread be parts of the same story? The implications are staggering. If the labyrinth was real and this key its counterpart, then the Minotaur myth might not be mere allegory, but a distorted memory of something far older and stranger. Perhaps the most haunting question isn't what the key unlocked, but why it survived. Hidden beneath a collapsed pillar wrapped in charred linen, it seems to have been purposefully preserved, as if waiting for the right hands to turn it once more. And that's the real mystery, because somewhere, whether in stone or symbol, the labyrinth still exists, and this key, it's still whispering. High in the Himalayas, where the air grows thin and the mountains seem to touch the sky, there's a legend whispered among monks and explorers alike, the Shangri-La Bell. This colossal relic, said to be twice the height of a man and forged from a bronze so pure it rings with unearthly clarity, is believed to rest in a hidden valley untouched by time. Its surface is carved with intricate mantras in a script so ancient, even the most learned lamas struggle to decipher them fully, but the bell's true mystery lies in its sound. According to Tibetan tradition, when struck, its chimes don't just echo through the valley, they resonate through the soul, purifying the spirit and bending time itself. Explorers have spent lifetimes searching for it. In 1921, British adventurer James Hilton popularized the myth in his novel Lost Horizon, but the bell's origins run far deeper. Ancient texts describe it as a gift from the gods, forged in a celestial furnace and brought to Earth to guide enlightened beings. Buddhist prophecies claim it will ring on its own when humanity reaches a turning point, a call to awaken hidden knowledge. The few who claim to have heard its toll speak of visions, memories of past lives, glimpses of futures yet to unfold, even moments where the boundaries between worlds seem to dissolve. Yet for all the legends, no modern expedition has ever found it. In 1987, a team led by a Nepalese scholar followed a series of cryptic murals in a remote monastery, only to vanish without a trace. Satellite imagery has revealed strange, bell-shaped depressions in the ice of uncharted valleys, but when researchers reach the coordinates, they find nothing but wind-scoured rock. Some say the bell moves, hidden by the valley's shifting mists. Others believe it's not of this world at all, a relic that exists between dimensions, revealing itself only to those who have shed all earthly desire. The most compelling clue might lie in its inscriptions. Fragments of similar script have been found on temple bells across the Himalayas, each containing pieces of a larger mantra. When strung together, they form a warning or perhaps an invitation. the message speaks of a great cycle, a moment when the bell's chime will signal the end of one age and the dawn of another. Whether myth or reality, the Shangri-La bell endures as a symbol of humanity's unquenchable thirst for the divine. And somewhere beyond the snow and silence, it waits not lost but patient, ringing only when the world is ready to listen. In the heart of Tuscany, where the hills whisper Etruscan secrets, a farmer's plow struck something far older than the vines, a bronze lightning bolt, jagged and perfect, as if Zeus himself had hurled it into the earth. This relic, known as the Etruscan thunderbolt, isn't just a ceremonial trinket. It's a masterpiece of metallurgy, so finely cast that its edges still gleam with the sharpness of a storm's edge after 2,000 years buried in the dark. What makes this artifact extraordinary isn't just its craftsmanship, but the questions it ignites. The Etruscans, a civilization that thrived long before Rome's rise, left behind no written history of their own. Every clue about them comes from tombs, and this thunderbolt was no exception. Found clutched in the skeletal hands of a high priest, its surface is etched with symbols matching those seen in frescoes of sky gods. Archaeologists initially assumed it was a ritual object, perhaps used to invoke rain or ward off tempests, but the truth might be more electrifying. Recent analysis reveals the bronze alloy contains traces of meteoric iron, a material the Etruscans revered as star metal. Even more startling, the bolt's hollow core contains residue of sulfur and saltpeter, compounds known to create sparks when struck. Some researchers now believe this wasn't merely a symbol of lightning, but a device meant to mimic it. Imagine a priest raising this bolt during a drought ritual, striking it against stone to produce a crackling shower of sparks, a theatrical display of divine power to awe their followers. The metallurgical precision defies expectations. The Etruscans lacked modern tools, yet this artifact shows evidence of lost wax casting so advanced it seems are nearly invisible. X-rays reveal internal channels that may have once held flammable oils, suggesting the bolt could have been part of a larger, fiery spectacle. And then there's the eerie coincidence. The tomb where it was discovered lies directly beneath a region still plagued by frequent lightning strikes today. Was the thunderbolt placed there as a ward or a beacon? Perhaps the most tantalizing clue lies in its asymmetry. Unlike the balanced designs of Greek or Roman artifacts, this bolt twists subtly to one side, a detail that matches ancient descriptions of the Etruscan god Tinia, who wielded lightning not in straight bolts but in forking, unpredictable paths. Was this asymmetry intentional, a nod to the chaos of nature, or does it hint at a deeper understanding of electromagnetism centuries before Faraday? One thing is certain, the Etruscan thunderbolt bridges the gap between ritual and innovation, between the divine and the tangible. It's a reminder that some civilizations didn't just worship the forces of nature, they sought to harness them. And buried in its bronze curves, a storm still waits. Found in the scorched earth of ancient Carthage, the war mask of Baal Hammon isn't just an artifact, it's a nightmare given form. Carved from blackened bronze and inlaid with chips of volcanic glass, this relic stares back through the centuries with hollow eyes that seem to swallow the light. The mask's surface is etched with symbols so unsettling, early excavators reported dreams of fire and screaming after handling it. But what truly chills the blood isn't its appearance, it's the realization that this wasn't meant to conceal a face. It was designed to transform the wearer into something other. Historical records suggest these masks were worn by Carthage elite sacred warriors during rituals honoring Baal Hammon, the god of war and child sacrifice. When lit from behind with oil-soaked rags, the mask's eye sockets would glow like embers, while the jagged mouth stretched in a permanent scream cast flickering shadows that twisted with the flames. Imagine facing a phalanx of these horrors across a moonlit battlefield, their leaders' faces replaced by the visage of a vengeful god. Archaeologists found remnants of hallucinogenic resins in the mask's nasal cavity, hinting that wearers may have been drugged into frenzied states, their roars distorted by the bronze to sound inhuman. But the darkest secrets lie in the symbols. Recent multispectral imaging revealed layers of faded script beneath the surface, prayers or curses in a dialect older than Phoenician. One repeating glyph resembles the Carthaginian sign for voice, leading some scholars to suggest the mask wasn't just ceremonial armor but a conduit. Ancient accounts describe priest-kings who spoke with the voice of Baal during sacrifices. Was this mask their instrument? The interior shows abrasions consistent with prolonged screaming, and forensic analysis detected microscopic blood residue in the crevices, not from battle but from ritual lacerations. Perhaps most disturbing are the child-sized fingerprints preserved in the mask's inner lining. They match traces found on urns containing the ashes of sacrificed infants at Carthage's Tophet shrines. This grim connection raises an unanswerable question. Were these masks worn during the infamous sacrifices, transforming human priests into avatars of a hungry god? Modern reconstructions prove the mask's acoustics amplify whispers into thunderous echoes perfect for pronouncing doom over altars. Yet the mask's legacy lingers beyond Carthage's fall. Roman historians wrote of Hannibal's generals wearing faces of brass to terrify enemies, and fragments of similar masks have surfaced from Spain to Sicily. Whether weapon, religious object, or both, this relic forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth. Some artifacts aren't just remnants of history, they're mirrors reflecting the darkness that civilizations bury but never truly escape. Carved from a single slab of basalt so dark it seems to drink the moonlight, the Hittite star compass is more than a tool, it's a slate of frozen astronomy. Unearthed near the ruins of Hattusa, this palm-sized disc is etched with precise grooves radiating from a central hole, each line corresponding to a star crucial to navigation in the ancient Near East. But here's what stuns researchers. These aren't just random scratches. The angles between the grooves match exact celestial alignments from 3,000 years ago, forming a three-dimensional map of the night sky that could guide travelers from Anatolia to Egypt without a single landmark. The compass's sophistication reveals the Hittites as master astronomers, not just warriors. Under ultraviolet light, faint residue of luminous paint becomes visible in the grooves, likely made from crushed phosphorescent minerals, suggesting the disk glowed softly in darkness, transforming it into a handheld planetarium. Some lines trace the paths of Sirius and Polaris, while others align with constellations only visible during specific seasons, hinting at its use in timing trade expeditions or religious festivals. The real marvel, though, is its adaptability. By inserting a bronze pin into the central hole and rotating the disk, a navigator could simulate the sky's movement for any date, compensating for Earth's wobble with eerie accuracy. Modern tests prove its margin of error is less than 2 degrees, a precision unmatched until Renaissance-era astrolabes, yet the compass holds darker mysteries. One side bears a cryptic inscription in Luwian script. The stars are the eyes of the storm god. This has fueled debates about its dual purpose. Was it merely a trader's aid, or did it serve priests in rituals honoring Tarhunt, the Hittite deity who controlled the heavens? The disk's discovery in a sealed chamber beneath a temple suggests the latter. Even more intriguing are the 7 extra grooves that don't match any known stars. Some researchers propose these mark the positions of vanished celestial bodies, comets or supernova, visible to ancient eyes but lost to modern catalogues. Others whisper of deliberate errors meant to mislead foreign spies who might steal Hittite navigational secrets. Perhaps the most haunting clue lies in its material. The basalt originates from a volcanic region near Mount Nemrut, a site sacred to celestial worship. Geologists found microscopic crystals within the stone that vibrate at frequencies matching those of certain stars, a phenomenon modern science calls stellar resonance. Coincidence, or did the Hittites somehow know to choose a rock that literally hummed in harmony with the cosmos? As we hold this relic today, its true genius becomes clear. The Hittites didn't just chart the stars, they embedded their understanding of time, trade, and divinity into stone. And somewhere in those grooves between practicality and prayer lies a forgotten truth that to navigate the world, one must first learn to read the sky. Deep in the ruins of Chichen Itza, beneath a vault sealed for over 1,000 years, archaeologists uncovered an artifact that seemed to pulse with life, the Mayan jade serpent. Carved from a single block of translucent green jade so flawless it glows like emerald fire when struck by sunlight, this sinuous masterpiece coils in perfect symmetry, its scales individually etched with celestial symbols. At first glance, it appears to be a mere representation of the feathered serpent god Kukulkan, but look closer and you'll notice something impossible. The serpent's eyes follow you no matter the angle. This isn't just artistry, it's optical engineering that predates modern understanding by centuries. The discovery itself reads like a scene from an adventure tale. Workers restoring a collapsed stairway heard a hollow echo beneath their tools. When they broke through, they found a chamber untouched by looters, its walls painted with murals of the cosmos. At the center, resting on an altar of obsidian, lay the jade serpent, positioned to catch the equinox sunrise through a narrow shaft in the ceiling. The moment sunlight struck it, witnesses reported an uncanny phenomenon. The serpent's shadow slithered along the floor, mirroring the famous descent of Kukulkan's silhouette on El Castillo's steps. How did the Maya achieve this effect? Microscopic analysis reveals the jade was meticulously polished to refract light at precise angles, a technique requiring knowledge of optics far beyond what historians believed the Maya possessed. But the serpent's true power lay in its role as a cosmic conduit. Mayan texts describe similar objects as sky ropes, tools for priests to commune with the gods. The glyphs along its belly chart the path of Venus, Kukulkan's sacred planet, while its forked tongue aligns with constellations only visible during solar eclipses. Some scholars believe it was used in rituals to predict celestial events, its jade absorbing and storing sunlight to be released during night ceremonies. Others point to its hollow core, which once held a now crumbled substance, possibly hallucinogens inhaled by shamans during vision quests. Then there's the chilling detail no one can explain: the serpent's jaws are hinged. When manipulated, they open to reveal a tiny compartment containing 9 jade beads, one for each level of the Mayan underworld. Were these counters for ritual calendars? Tokens for the dead, or perhaps something darker? Recent scans detected traces of hematite on the beads, a mineral the Maya associated with blood sacrifice. This raises a haunting possibility that the serpent wasn't just a symbol of life and renewal, but also a vessel for offerings to the gods below. What makes this relic truly extraordinary is its duality. To the Maya, the serpent represented both the sky and the underworld, creation and destruction, a loop without end. This jade embodiment captures that paradox, its beauty undeniable, its purpose shrouded in mystery. As the light shifts across its surface, it whispers a truth we're only beginning to grasp, that the line between divine artistry and ancient science was far thinner than we ever imagined. And somewhere, in the interplay of shadow and jade, Kukulkan still watches. Among the dusty shelves of Baghdad's National Museum lies an object that shouldn't exist, a fist-sized clay cylinder studded with copper filaments, its surface etched with cuneiform signs for voice and wind. Dubbed the Sumerian voice box, this relic looks eerily like a primitive artificial larynx, complete with a reed-like mechanism that vibrates when air passes through it. Discovered in the ruins of a temple dedicated to Enki, the god of wisdom, it's the kind of artifact that makes archaeologists question everything they thought they knew about ancient technology. The moment researchers blew air through its hollow chamber, the room filled with a sound no one expected, a low, resonant hum that seemed to mimic human speech. When adjusted by rotating its copper components, the pitch shifted into distinct tones, almost like syllables waiting to form words. This wasn't just a noisemaker. It was a deliberate attempt to replicate the human voice, crafted over 4,000 years before the invention of the modern speech synthesizer. The implications are staggering. Were Sumerian priests using this device to simulate divine messages, making their gods speak to awestruck worshippers? Or was it part of a larger, lost tradition of mechanical sound manipulation? But not everyone's convinced. Skeptics argue the voice box might be a misidentified irrigation valve or even a clever forgery. The controversy hinges on its copper filaments, which show unusual purity for the era, and the fact that no other examples have ever been found. Yet defenders point to temple carvings depicting priests holding similar objects, their mouths covered by what appear to be funnels, a possible hint at ritual voice projection. Even more compelling, the voice box's internal structure mirrors descriptions in Sumerian texts of singing stones used to amplify prayers. The most haunting theory comes from a damaged tablet found nearby, referencing a machine that speaks with the tongue of Enki. Could this device have been part of an ancient theatrical tradition, a tool to make statues seem alive? Or does it hint at something darker, a technology so advanced it blurred the line between mortal and divine? As debates rage, one thing's certain: whether wholly artifice or hoax, the Sumerian voice box refuses to be silenced, and in its raspy, echoing tones, we might just hear the whispers of a civilization far ahead of its time. On storm-racked Viking ships, where the sky often vanished behind thick clouds, sailors relied on more than just stars to guide them. They held a secret weapon in their hands, the legendary sunstone. This seemingly ordinary crystal, mentioned in Norse sagas as the Solarstein, had a power that seemed almost magical. When held to the sky, even on overcast days, it could reveal the sun's hidden position with uncanny accuracy. Modern science now confirms what Viking navigators understood centuries ago. This wasn't myth, it was cutting-edge technology. The most likely candidate for the sunstone is Icelandic spar, a transparent form of calcite crystal found in Scandinavia. Its genius lies in a property called birefringence. Light passing through it splits into two beams, creating double images. By rotating the stone until these overlapping images align in brightness, sailors could pinpoint the sun's location within a few degrees, even when completely hidden by clouds. Recent experiments with replica Viking ships proved its effectiveness. In one study, volunteers using only a sunstone successfully navigated within 5 degrees of actual latitude, a margin small enough to have guided Leif Erikson to Newfoundland. But the sunstone's true brilliance goes beyond simple navigation. Some researchers believe it was part of a sophisticated system combining the crystal with shadow boards, wooden discs etched with notches that recorded the sun's angle over time. Together, these tools may have formed an ancient analog computer, allowing Vikings to traverse the North Atlantic with terrifying precision. The implications rewrite history. While Europeans struggled to sail beyond sight of land, Viking navigators were routinely crossing thousands of miles of open ocean, reaching the Americas centuries before Columbus. Perhaps most astonishing is how these discoveries validate Norse legends. The saga of King Olaf describes him using a sunstone to locate the sun on a snowy winter day, a passage long dismissed as folklore. Now we know the Vikings weren't just lucky explorers. They were master scientists harnessing the secrets of light centuries before optics became a formal discipline. As modern sailors still struggle with cloudy navigation, this relic from the past might just hold the key to future technologies, proving once again that ancient wisdom often outshines our brightest innovations. Buried in the ruins of Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa, where the Indus River once nourished one of humanity's earliest urban civilizations, lie thousands of palm-sized stones carved with a mystery that has stumped linguists for over a century. These are the Indus Valley Seal Stone's tiny masterpieces of steatite, their surfaces etched with elegant symbols of bulls, elephants, and enigmatic script. What makes them extraordinary isn't just their artistry, but the fact that no one alive today can read their messages. These seals are the mute witnesses of a culture that thrived 4,000 years ago, their secrets locked in glyphs as stubborn as the stones themselves. At first glance, they resemble ancient bureaucratic tools. Many bear intricate animal motifs alongside the script unicorn-like creatures, tigers mid-stride, even what might be the earliest depiction of a domesticated chicken. But it's the writing that captivates scholars. Unlike Egyptian hieroglyphs or Mesopotamian cuneiform, the Indus script refuses to surrender its meaning. With around 400 distinct symbols, some repeating in patterns that suggest a grammatical structure, it's too complex to be mere pictographs. Yet attempts to link it to known languages, Sanskrit, Dravidian, even hypothetical Proto-Elamite, have all dead-ended. The frustration is palpable. Here lies one of the world's first writing systems, and we're illiterate before it. Their purpose is equally debated. The seal's flat backs often show signs of being pressed into clay, hinting at use for stamping trade goods. Thousands have been found near ancient docks and granaries, supporting the idea they marked ownership or taxes, but others suspect a deeper role. Some seals depict figures in yogic postures, flanked by what might be deities, leading to theories they were religious amulets. One famous example shows a horned figure seated cross-legged, surrounded by animals, a possible prototype for the Hindu god Shiva as Lord of Beasts. Could these stones be sacred objects carrying prayers or invoking protection? The craftsmanship defies their age. Each seal was carved in mirror image, so its impression would read correctly, a technique requiring staggering precision with Bronze Age tools. Microscopic analysis reveals the artisans used acid etching to achieve their crisp lines, a method not seen again until medieval Europe. Even more intriguing, nearly identical seals have been found as far away as Mesopotamia, suggesting a trade network spanning thousands of miles. Yet for all their reach, the seals whisper a haunting truth about the Indus civilization. Unlike Egypt or Sumer, their cities show no palaces, no grand temples, just these countless small stones, each a puzzle without a key. Were they receipts for grain or keys to the cosmos? The answer might lie in the one seal that stands apart, a single, uncarved stone, polished smooth as if waiting for a message that never came. A blank page in a lost language, reminding us how much of history remains unwritten. Baked into the clay of Mesopotamia, where the first astronomers mapped the heavens, lies a relic that shaped how humanity sees the stars, the Babylonian zodiac cylinder. This unassuming tube of hardened earth, no taller than a drinking glass, is etched with constellations so precise they could still guide a traveler to night. But these aren't just random star patterns. They're the earliest known zodiac, a celestial blueprint that would later inspire Greek, Roman, and even modern astrology. The cylinder's surface is a masterpiece of ancient cosmology. 12 sections, each devoted to a constellation, spiral around it like the steps of a cosmic ladder. Here, Leo isn't just a lion, it's the great dog of the Babylonians, associated with floods when it rose with the summer sun. Scorpio appears as a creature with wings, a detail lost in later traditions. Most striking are the cuneiform inscriptions between the stars, not just names but predictions. When Mars entered the field constellation, for instance, the text warns of war. When Venus lingered near the scales, it promised bountiful harvests. This wasn't stargazing, it was a celestial almanac linking heaven's movements to earthly events with startling specificity. How did the Babylonians use it? Scholars believe priests would rotate the cylinder against a flat surface, aligning its markings with the current sky. The grooves between constellations may have held wooden pegs, a primitive computer tracking planetary positions. Recent 3D scans reveal indentations too precise for simple tools, suggesting they used advanced geometry to plot each star. But the real genius lies in its adaptability. The cylinder accounts for something called the precession of the equinoxes, the gradual shift in Earth's axis that changes how we see the stars over centuries. Modern astronomers didn't fully grasp this phenomenon until the Renaissance, yet somehow the Babylonians encoded it in clay. The cylinder's influence stretches far beyond Mesopotamia. The Greeks likely encountered it during Alexander's conquests, adapting its 12-part system into the zodiac we know today. Even the word zodiac comes from the Babylonian zodiacus, meaning circle of animals. But where modern horoscopes deal in personality traits, the original was deadly serious business. Kings delayed battles based on its readings. Farmers planted crops by its predictions. One chilling inscription describes a star that falls like fire when certain constellations align, a possible reference to comet impacts or meteor showers. Today, the cylinder sits in the British Museum, its surface worn by fingers that sought answers in the stars 4,000 years ago. The most haunting question isn't whether their predictions came true, but how they achieved such precision without telescopes or calculus. Perhaps the answer is written in the stars themselves or in the grooves of this clay relic, still whispering secrets to those who know how to read them. In the shadowed halls of Angkor Wat, where stone gods dance in flickering torchlight, archaeologists uncovered a blade that shouldn't exist, the Black Sword of the Khmer Empire. Forged from a metal so dark it seems to absorb light, this weapon is no ordinary relic. Legends claim it was wielded by the Empire's elite warriors, its edge capable of slicing through armor like silk, its hilt always unnervingly cold to the touch. But what truly sets it apart isn't just its lethal elegance, it's the whispers that cling to it, tales of disappearing excavators and a curse older than the temples themselves. The sword's metallurgy defies explanation. Unlike typical Khmer weapons made of iron or bronze, this blade is composed of an alloy never before seen in Southeast Asia. Laboratory analysis detected traces of chromium, a metal not commonly used until the 20th century, alongside meteoric iron rich in rare earth elements. The result, a near unbreakable edge that resists corrosion so completely, it gleams as sharply today as it did 900 years ago, yet the forging process remains a mystery. Traditional Khmer blacksmiths worked with open furnaces, but this blade's molecular structure suggests it was tempered at temperatures impossible to achieve without modern technology, unless the smith's new techniques lost to time. Then there are the stories. Local monks speak of a warrior king who carried the sword into battle, its blade drinking the moonlight to guide him through night raids. Inscriptions at Bayon Temple describe a shadow blade that never needed sharpening, gifted to generals by sorcerer priests, but the most chilling accounts come from the modern era. In 1962, a French archaeologist vanished hours after cataloging the sword, leaving only his notes scribbled with increasing frenzy about voices in the metal. Decades later, a conservationist tasked with cleaning the artifact suffered a mental break, insisting the sword remembered every kill. These incidents led Cambodian officials to seal it away for years, fueling rumors of a curse. Could there be a scientific basis for the legends? Recent studies revealed the blade emits weak electromagnetic pulses, a phenomenon seen in certain meteoritic metals. Some researchers speculate these emissions might affect brain chemistry, explaining the hallucinations reported by those who handled it. Others point to the sword's eerie acoustics. When struck, it produces a sound resembling human screams, likely due to its unique crystalline structure. Even the bravest scholars hesitate to test its edge. The few who tried found it cut through materials no medieval weapon should, as if the blade itself refuses to acknowledge the passage of time. Perhaps the most unsettling discovery came in 2017, when ground-penetrating radar near the sword's excavation site revealed a mass grave. Among the skeletons were several with cleanly severed bones wounds matching the sword's profile. But here's the twist: carbon dating showed these remains were centuries older than the Khmer Empire. Was this blade passed down from an even older civilization? Or does it belong to something far older, something the Khmers merely inherited and feared? Today, the black sword rests in a climate-controlled vault, its secrets locked behind glass. But sometimes, attendants swear they hear a faint hum emanating from its case, as if the metal still sings of battles long forgotten. Whether cursed artifact or masterwork of lost science, one truth remains: some edges never dull, and some stories refuse to stay buried. Deep in the heart of Mexico City's Templo Mayor, archaeologists unearthed an object that seemed to capture darkness itself: the Aztec Obsidian Mirror. This circular disc, polished to a supernatural sheen, isn't just a reflective surface. It's a portal to the spirit world, once gripped by priests who believed it could reveal futures, summon gods, and expose hidden truth. Crafted from volcanic glass so black it looks like a slice of midnight, the mirror's surface is unnervingly flawless, with no distortions, almost as if it wasn't made by human hands at all. This relic was the sacred tool of Tezcatlipoca, the Aztec god of destiny and sorcery, whose name means smoking mirror. Legends say he used such mirrors to observe the hearts of men and manipulate fate. When priests peered into its depths during rituals, they didn't just see their own reflections, they reported visions: swirling mists, distant battles, even the faces of ancestors long gone. Modern researchers have a simpler explanation. The mirror's ultra-smooth surface and natural inclusions may create optical illusions under flickering torchlight, tricking the brain into seeing patterns. But that doesn't explain why so many who have studied it describe a strange compulsion to stare deeper, as if the mirror is pulling them in. Scientific analysis only deepens the mystery. The obsidian originates from a specific volcano, Pachuca, known for its exceptionally pure deposits. Aztec artisans would have spent years grinding it with abrasives like quartz sand, a process so laborious that mirrors were rarer than gold. But here's what baffles experts: the curvature is mathematically perfect, matching the human eye's focal length. Was this intentional? If so, the Aztecs understood principles of optics centuries before European scientists. Even more chilling are the accounts from Spanish conquistadors, who wrote that Moctezuma's priests used the mirror to foresee their arrival, an omen they tragically misinterpreted. Today, the mirror sits in the British Museum, still radiating an almost gravitational pull. Visitors often report feeling watched when near it, and infrared scans have detected odd thermal patterns on its surface, as if it retains some energy from its past. Whether divine conduit or psychological artifact, one thing's certain: this relic doesn't just reflect light. It reflects the Aztec world, a place where the boundary between reality and the unseen was as thin as the edge of a blade. And in its blackened depths, Tezcatlipoca might still be watching. Buried in the quiet corners of European museums, scattered from Britain to Hungary, sit dozens of enigmatic bronze objects that have defied explanation for centuries: the Roman dodecahedrons. These palm-sized relics, each boasting 12 perfectly symmetrical pentagonal faces, gleam with a precision that would make a modern engineer pause. Every face is pierced with circular holes of varying sizes, while small knobs adorn each corner like miniature planets orbiting a geometric sun. They're beautiful, baffling, and utterly out of place in the archaeological record because despite their mathematical perfection, no one knows what they were truly for. Theories spiral as wildly as the dodecahedron's own intricate design. Some scholars argue they were astronomical tools, their holes aligning with celestial patterns to track star movements or predict solstices. Others suggest they were religious objects, perhaps used in rituals honoring the 12 Olympian gods, their holes meant to hold incense or sacred oils. Then there's the gaming theory that these were elite Roman gambling devices, their faces marked with values lost to time, yet none of these explanations fully satisfy. If they were astronomical tools, why no surviving instructions or matching artifacts? If religious, why are they found in mundane settings like military camps and marketplaces? And if gaming pieces, why the staggering uniformity across continents, as if mass-produced by some ancient workshop? What's undeniable is their craftsmanship. Each dodecahedron was cast using the lost wax method, a technique demanding such skill that even slight errors would warp the proportions. The holes aren't random, their diameters follow precise ratios, some corresponding to ancient units of measurement like the Roman uncia. Infrared scans reveal microscopic filing marks, evidence of painstaking adjustments to achieve mathematical harmony. This level of precision suggests they weren't mere trinkets, but objects of serious purpose, tools for a task we've forgotten. Perhaps the most tantalizing clue lies in their distribution. Most were found along the empire's northern frontiers, far from Rome's intellectual hubs. Could they have been navigational aids for legions traversing unfamiliar terrain? Experimental archaeology offers a provocative hint. When threaded with string and rotated, certain dodecahedrons create intricate woven patterns that correlate with Celtic knot designs. Were they portable looms used to teach complex weaving techniques to conquered peoples? Or did they serve a darker function, calculators for ballistics or siege engineering, their geometry harnessed for war? The truth might be simpler and stranger. A single Roman text, Pliny the Elder's Natural History, mentions polyhedral dice used in divination. Could these objects have been oracles, their holes and knobs serving as a tactile code for fortune-telling? Modern psychics who have held replicas describe an uncanny intuitive pull, as if the shapes themselves resonate with some primal symbolism. One thing's certain, the dodecahedron refuses to fit neatly into history's boxes. It's a relic that laughs at our categories, straddling the line between science and spirituality, art and utility. Whether tool, talisman, or toy, it whispers a truth we're only beginning to grasp: that the ancient world was far more sophisticated and far more mysterious than we'll ever fully understand. And hidden in those 12 perfect faces, a secret still waits. On the windswept cliffs of Easter Island, where the silent Moai statues keep their eternal watch, a different kind of mystery lies hidden: the Rongorongo tablets. Carved from slabs of Toromiro wood, these artifacts bear rows of intricate glyphs that twist and loop like vines caught in a storm. Some resemble plants, others animals or crescent moons, while a few take the form of strange, stick-like figures in poses that could be dancing, praying, or falling. This is the only known indigenous writing system in Oceania, a script so unique it defies every attempt at translation. What makes Rongorongo so tantalizing is its potential as a true written language, a rarity among Pacific Island cultures. Unlike pictographs that merely symbolize ideas, the glyphs appear in recurring sequences, suggesting grammar, syntax, perhaps even poetry or historical records. The tablet discovered in a cave in 1869, dubbed Tablet C, is particularly fascinating. Its glyphs spiral inward like a labyrinth, a layout seen nowhere else in the world. Was this a sacred text, a calendar, or a genealogy of the island's legendary Birdman kings? The theories are as varied as the glyphs themselves. Yet for all its sophistication, Rongorongo guards its secrets fiercely. Part of the challenge lies in its tragic backstory. By the time Europeans took interest in the tablets in the late 19th century, the last literate Rapa Nui elders had perished in slave raids or from disease. What little survived comes from cryptic hints like the claim by one islander that certain tablets contained the words of the ancestors to make the yams grow. This sparse context leaves linguists wrestling with a puzzle missing half its pieces. Attempts to match the script to Polynesian oral traditions or even ancient Indus Valley symbols have all led to dead ends. The tablet's physical construction deepens the intrigue. Each was carved with a shark's tooth or obsidian blade, the grooves then filled with powdered volcanic ash to make the glyphs stand out. But here's what's extraordinary. Some glyphs were clearly erased and recarved, as if the tablets were reused over generations. Did later scribes alter sacred texts? Or was this a practical response to the island's deforestation, making wood too precious to waste? Perhaps the most haunting question isn't how to read Rongorongo, but why it exists at all. Easter Island is one of the most remote inhabited places on Earth, with no evidence of outside contact before European arrival. Did the script develop independently, a linguistic Big Bang in isolation? Or could it hint at a forgotten connection to South America's pre-Columbian cultures, where similar knot-writing systems like the Inca Quipu thrived? Today, only 26 Rongorongo tablets survive, scattered across museums from Berlin to Santiago. Modern efforts to crack the code use AI pattern analysis, comparing glyph frequencies to languages worldwide. But some scholars argue we're asking the wrong questions. Maybe Rongorongo wasn't meant to be read like an alphabet, but experienced, a tactile map of myths, chants, or even musical notation. After all, when a 19th century missionary asked an islander to recite a tablet's contents, the man didn't speak, he sang. As the ocean wind rattles the palms over Rapa Nui's ruins, the tablets remain silent witnesses to a culture that carved its soul into wood, then took the key to its meaning to the grave. And in their twisting glyphs, a truth lingers. Some languages don't just convey words, they hold entire worlds. In the heart of ancient Persia, where fire was both deity and guardian, a relic emerged that defied the very nature of flame, the Persian fire vessel. This ornate bronze cauldron, its surface etched with celestial patterns and winged deities, wasn't just a container, it was a sacred conduit believed to hold fire that never dimmed. Crafted for the Zoroastrian priests who tended the eternal flames of Ahura Mazda, the vessel's design whispers of a civilization that saw fire not as destruction, but as divine purity made visible. The legends surrounding it are as vivid as the flames it once housed. Chronicles from the Sasanian Empire describe how high priests would carry the vessel in solstice processions, its fire blazing even in torrential rain. Travelers' accounts speak of a strange phenomenon when the vessel's lid was sealed. The fire inside would burn blue, emitting no heat yet never extinguishing. Modern chemists suspect this cold flame might have been achieved through a clever trick of chemistry. Residue analysis reveals traces of naphtha, a volatile petroleum product mixed with minerals like sulfur and saltpeter. Combined with a finely tuned air vent system, this could create a slow, self-sustaining combustion that appeared supernatural to ancient eyes, but the vessel's true genius lies in its construction. Unlike typical braziers, its interior is lined with a ceramic composite that withstands temperatures capable of melting ordinary bronze. Microscopic examination shows layers of heat-resistant clay interspersed with horsehair fibers, a technique modern engineers recognize as an early form of thermal insulation. Even more intriguing are the traces of an unidentified metallic alloy around the rim, a shimmering substance that, under X-ray fluorescence, appears to be a primitive form of brazing, a method of joining metals not widely used until the Industrial Revolution. The vessel's role in Zoroastrian ritual was equally sophisticated. Fire wasn't merely worshipped, it was a bridge between worlds. Priests would feed the flames with sandalwood and myrrh, chanting verses from the Avesta as the smoke curled into patterns believed to carry prayers skyward. The vessel itself was never placed directly on the ground, always elevated on a stone plinth inscribed with protective spells. Historical texts hint at darker ceremonies too, accounts of trial by sacred flame, where accused nobles would pass their hands through the vessel's fire. Those unharmed were deemed righteous, those burned were judged impure. Whether this was divine intervention or clever stagecraft remains debated. Modern attempts to recreate the vessel's eternal flames have yielded mixed results. In 2017, a team from the University of Tehran built a replica using traditional methods. While they achieved a flame that burned for 72 hours without fuel replenishment, the telltale blue fire eluded them. The secret, they suspect, lies in a lost ingredient, perhaps a rare plant extract or a mineral now depleted from Persian soil. Today, the original vessel resides in the National Museum of Iran, its interior blackened by centuries of devotion. But look closely and you'll notice something peculiar. The metal around its base remains uncorroded, as if the ghost of its flames still wards off decay. Whether miracle or marvel of ancient engineering, this relic stands as a testament to humanity's oldest dance with the elements. And in its silent, soot-streaked curves, a question flickers. Did the priests truly keep the fire alive, or did the fire in some way keep them? Beneath the rolling green hills of Britain, where ancient kings once held court under open skies, archaeologists unearthed a relic that still radiates power, the Celtic golden torque. This magnificent neck ring, crafted from strands of gold so pure they seem spun from sunlight itself, isn't just jewelry. It's a statement, a proclamation of sovereignty worn by the elite of Iron Age Europe. The moment you see one, you understand why these torques were more than adornments. They were armor for the soul, forged to mark the divine right of warriors and kings. The craftsmanship alone is staggering. Unlike simple metal bands, torques were complex masterpieces, their gold wires painstakingly twisted or braided into intricate patterns. Some resemble coiled serpents, their ends fashioned into stylized animal heads that glare defiantly at the wearer's enemies. Others ripple like woven rivers, their surfaces etched with spirals and lunar symbols sacred to the Celts. The torque found in the Snettisham hoard, one of the most famous discoveries, weighs over a kilogram, a literal weight of authority resting on the neck of its owner. What's astonishing is that these were made without modern tools, likely crafted using wooden molds and beeswax casting techniques so precise, modern jewelers struggle to replicate them. But torques weren't just displays of wealth. Celtic myths whisper of their supernatural properties. The Irish epic Táin Bó Cúailnge describes the hero Cú Chulainn wearing a torque that no weapon could breach, its golden strands said to be blessed by the god Lug. Welsh legends tell of torques gifted by the otherworld, their wearers granted visions or immunity in battle. Were these stories mere exaggeration? Perhaps not. Recent studies reveal many torques contain trace amounts of meteoric iron, a material ancient cultures associated with celestial power. Could the Celts have believed the gold itself was divine, woven with star metal to shield its bearer from harm? Their discoveries in royal burials add another layer of mystery. At Vix in France, a young woman, possibly a queen or high priestess, was buried wearing a torque so massive it would have restricted her movement. Why? Some scholars argue this symbolized her eternal vigilance, even in death. Others point to torques found deliberately bent or broken before burial, a ritual killing of the object to release its spirit or prevent theft in the afterlife. The most haunting finds come from bogs, where torques were offered to the gods alongside swords and cauldrons, testaments to a culture that saw gold not as currency, but as a covenant between mortals and the unseen. Then there's the enigma of their disappearance. By the Roman conquest, torques vanished from daily wear, replaced by Roman-style jewelry. Yet Celtic mercenaries in Roman service were still depicted wearing them, as if clinging to the old ways. Did the torque's power fade when Rome's eagles shadowed the land? Or did their meaning transform, hidden in plain sight as torques became the chains of office for medieval kings? Today, when you stand before a golden torque in a museum, you're not just looking at metal. You're witnessing the pulse of a civilization that saw gold as alive, a luminous thread tying the wearer to the gods. And in its silent, gleaming curves, a challenge echoes, to remember that some symbols never truly bend, even under the weight of time. High in the Andes, where the thin air shimmers with the ghosts of an empire, the Inca solar medallion gleams like a captured sunbeam. This golden disc, no wider than a hand span, is etched with concentric circles and radiating lines so precise they mirror the sun's path across the sky. But this isn't just sacred art, it's a celestial calculator, a tool forged by astronomers who mapped the heavens without telescopes, and a testament to a civilization that worshipped the sun as the giver of life. At first glance, the medallion's design seems deceptively simple. The outer ring bears 24 notches corresponding to the Inca solar calendar's divisions. The inner rings track Venus and the Pleiades, celestial bodies crucial for agricultural cycles, but tilted toward the sunlight at dawn and the real magic begins. Shadows cast by the raised ridges intersect at specific points during solstices, creating a living map of the cosmos. Priests at Machu Picchu likely used these alignments to mark the Inti Raymi festival, when the sun hung still before reversing its course. Modern astronomers have confirmed the medallion's accuracy. Its predictions for the June solstice align within minutes of contemporary calculations, a feat achieved without written numbers or mechanical aids. The connection to Inti, the sun god, runs deeper than ritual. According to chronicles from Spanish conquistadors who melted down countless similar artifacts for gold, these medallions were believed to trap sunlight, storing its energy to nourish crops during lean seasons. One account describes a temple where medallions were arranged to focus beams onto seeds, a practice modern science might interpret as an early form of solar-assisted germination. The medallion's back bears faint scorch marks, hinting at ceremonies where it was heated to awaken its power, possibly a symbolic union of Inti's light and earthly metals. Then there's the mystery of its construction. The gold alloy is unusually pure, lacking the copper typical of Inca metallurgy, and its surface shows no hammer marks. Instead, microscopic analysis reveals it was shaped using a lost wax technique involving molds lined with crushed quartz, creating a refractive surface that amplified sunlight. Some researchers speculate the medallion doubled as a navigational aid, its polished face reflecting signals across mountain peaks. Others point to its eerie resemblance to golden discs found in ancient Egyptian and Mesopotamian sites, raising tantalizing questions about shared astronomical knowledge across continents. The most haunting aspect, this medallion survived. While the Spanish systematically destroyed Inca solar relics, this one was hidden in a sealed niche at Sacsayhuaman, wrapped in cloth woven with silver threads, a conductor perhaps to enhance its celestial connection. Today, it whispers a truth the Inca knew well. Gold wasn't just a metal. It was the sweat of the sun, solid light forged into a guide for living in harmony with the skies. And in its golden curves, the cosmos still turns. In the arid valleys of northern Peru, where the Moch people once built towering adobe temples, archaeologists uncovered relics that redefine the meaning of opulence, the Moch ear spools. These aren't just jewelry, they're wearable masterpieces, some as wide as a dinner plate, designed to stretch their wearers' earlobes into dramatic, elongated loops. Crafted from gold, silver, and even precious stones, each spool served as a living billboard of power, broadcasting the status of kings, warriors, and priests in a society where body modification was sacred art. The craftsmanship alone is staggering. Take the pair discovered in the tomb of the Lord of Sapon, one of the most lavish Moch burials ever found. Their surfaces depict intricate battle scenes, tiny warriors wielding clubs, prisoners bound with ropes, even decapitated heads dangling like trophies. These weren't mere decorations, they were narratives telling the story of the wearer's conquests in miniature. Other spools feature gods with fanged mouths, serpents coiled around celestial symbols, or geometric patterns so precise they could only have been made with specialized tools. Some even incorporate movable parts like dangling golden charms that would have shimmered with every turn of the wearer's head. But the true shock comes from understanding how they were worn. Unlike modern earrings, Moch spools weren't clipped or threaded. They were inserted through massive piercings, gradually stretching the earlobes over years. Excavations reveal skeletons with earlobes distended to the point of near disfigurement, a permanent alteration signaling lifelong elite status. The process wasn't just cosmetic, it was agonizingly ritualistic. Murals at the Huaca de la Luna show initiates undergoing the stretching as part of bloody ceremonies, their newly enlarged lobes symbolizing the shedding of childhood and rebirth into the warrior class. Why such extreme devotion to ear ornaments? In Mach cosmology, the ears were sacred conduits. Priests believed gods whispered wisdom directly into stretched lobes, making spools less about vanity than divine connection. The larger the spool, the closer one stood to the celestial realm. Some spools even doubled as functional objects. Hollow ones could store precious powders, while others had tiny perforations to hold flowers or feathers during ceremonies. The spool's social function was equally complex. Gold ones were reserved for rulers, silver for generals, and copper for merchants, creating a metallic hierarchy visible across crowded plazas. But the most intriguing examples are the mismatched pairs, one gold, one silver, found in warrior graves. These likely represented the Mach belief in duality, life and death, sun and moon, earthly power and spiritual transcendence. Today, these spools raise provocative questions. Were they prototypes for the lip plates and earlobe discs still worn by some indigenous Amazonian groups? Did they inspire the golden ear ornaments of the later Inca? And what does their abandonment say about the fall of the Mach, whose elites may have prioritized symbolic displays over practical survival as their civilization crumbled? When you stand before these relics in a museum, you're not just seeing jewelry, you're witnessing a culture that turned the human body into a canvas for power, faith, and identity, one stretched earlobe at a time. And in their gleaming surfaces, the Mach whisper a truth we often forget, that beauty and pain have always been intertwined. Buried in the icy grip of the Altai Mountains, where permafrost preserves the past like a time capsule, lies one of history's most dazzling relics, the Scythian animal crown. This elaborate golden headpiece, its surface alive with leaping stags, coiled panthers, and mythical griffins, isn't just a royal ornament. It's a portal to the spiritual world of the Scythians, nomadic horsemen who ruled the Eurasian steppes with equal parts terror and artistry. Discovered in the frozen tomb of a shaman prince, its preservation is so impeccable that the gold still winks under museum lights as if freshly polished, untouched by the 24 centuries it spent locked in ice. The crown's design reveals a culture deeply entwined with the animal world. Each creature is rendered in the distinctive Scythian, animal style, muscles taut with motion, antlers arcing like celestial branches, predator and prey frozen in eternal dance. This wasn't mere decoration. To the Scythians, animals were spiritual intermediaries. The stag symbolized the world tree connecting earth and sky, while the panther represented raw, untamed power. Griffins, those eagle-lion hybrids, guarded the threshold between life and death. Wearing these images wasn't just about status, it was about channeling their essence, transforming the wearer into a living bridge between realms. The tomb where it was found tells an even richer story. Encased in a subterranean chamber of larch logs, the burial site was essentially a natural freezer, preserving not just the crown but the shaman himself, his tattooed skin still visible, his ceremonial hemp garments intact. Surrounding him were other treasures, a carpet woven with battling centaurs, a chariot with golden wheel covers, and a pouch of cannabis seeds for ritual use. The crown rested near his head, positioned deliberately over a leather cap studded with golden plaques, perhaps to amplify its power during journeying into the spirit world. What makes this relic extraordinary is its craftsmanship. The goldwork employs techniques still admired today: delicate filigree, granulation finer than poppy seeds, and repoussé so precise the animals seem to breathe. Recent CT scans revealed something astonishing: the crown wasn't cast as one piece. Each animal was made separately, then attached with microscopic gold pins, allowing them to tremble and shimmer with the wearer's movements. This kinetic quality wasn't accidental. Scythian shamans believed that motion released spiritual energy, and the trembling animals would have come alive in firelight during rituals, their flickering shadows animating the walls of felt tents. The crown's discovery also forced scholars to rethink Scythian society. Once dismissed as barbarians by Greek historians, these nomads clearly possessed artistic sophistication rivaling Athens or Persia. The gold itself traces back to mines in the Urals, proving vast trade networks existed across the steppes. Even more intriguing, similar animal crowns appear in Chinese records describing the Xiongnu peoples, suggesting a shared shamanic tradition spanning continents. Today, the crown sits in the Hermitage Museum, a silent testament to a culture that left no cities or written records, only golden whispers in the permafrost. And in those whispers, a truth resonates. Sometimes the most powerful civilizations leave behind not towering monuments, but objects so alive with meaning they transcend time itself. In the blistering heart of the Arabian desert, where the sun scorches the earth into cracked clay, the Nabateans didn't just survive, they thrived, their secret. A relic as enigmatic as the rose-red city of Petra itself, the Nabatean water diviner, this unassuming bronze rod, etched with cryptic symbols and tapered to a needle-fine point, wasn't just a tool. It was a lifeline, guiding its users to hidden veins of water beneath the sand with uncanny accuracy. How did a civilization surrounded by wasteland build fountains, baths, and lush gardens? The answer might lie in this slender artifact, a fusion of ingenuity and mystery that still puzzles scientists today. The diviner's design is deceptively simple. Roughly the length of a forearm, it resembles a stylus but with a hollow core and a series of grooves along its shaft. When held horizontally, balanced on a finger, the rod would reportedly tremble or dip toward the ground in the presence of subterranean water. Ancient texts describe Nabatean hydrologists walking in slow, methodical grids across the desert, their diviners twitching like compass needles toward hidden aquifers. Modern experiments with replicas have yielded mixed results. Some researchers swear by its effectiveness, while others dismiss it as psychological bias, arguing users subconsciously influenced the movement. But the diviner's true genius might lie in its symbiosis with Nabatean engineering. The rod wasn't used in isolation. Cross-referenced with observations of plant growth, rock formations, and even insect behavior, it formed part of a sophisticated hydrological system. The Nabateans built intricate networks of canals, cisterns, and underground reservoirs called qanats, some stretching for miles. Could the diviner have been a precision tool for pinpointing where to dig these structures? Microscopic residue analysis reveals traces of mineral deposits inside surviving rods, hinting they might have chemically reacted to groundwater signatures, a primitive form of geochemical prospecting. Then there's the spiritual dimension. The rod's etchings include crescent moons and star clusters, symbols tied to the Nabatean gods of rain and fertility. Some scholars argue it was less a scientific instrument than a ritual object, its movements interpreted as divine guidance. Accounts from Roman historians describe Nabatean priests consulting the diviner during ceremonies, its trembles seen as the voice of the earth itself. This duality raises a provocative question. Did the Nabateans view technology and religion as inseparable? Their greatest monuments, after all, were carved into cliffs as if conjured from the stone by magic. Yet every chisel strike was a calculated feat of engineering. Perhaps the most tantalizing clue comes from a 1st-century trade ledger found near Petra. It lists the sale of water rods to merchants from as far as India and Egypt, suggesting the diviner's reputation spread across the ancient world. If so, its legacy might linger in unexpected places. Some historians draw parallels to medieval European dowsing rods, while others note similarities to tools used by the Berbers of North Africa. Could this have been a technology exchanged along the Silk Road, adapted and reinvented by countless cultures? Today, the debate rages on. Geophysicists point out that underground water does create subtle electromagnetic anomalies detectable by sensitive instruments. Could the Nabateans have stumbled upon a lost principle of physics, their bronze rod acting as a primitive antenna? Or was their mastery of the desert born from something harder to quantify, an intimate dialogue between land and intuition, between faith and observation? One thing certain, in a world where water is increasingly precious, the silent wisdom of the diviner feels more resonant than ever. And somewhere in the desert winds, the ghosts of the Nabateans might still be whispering where to dig. Hanging from worn flax cords around the necks of Maori warriors, chiefs, and elders, the high tiki isn't just an ornament, it's a vessel whispering with the voices of ancestors. Carved from Pounamu, New Zealand's sacred greenstone, these enigmatic pendants take the form of stylized human figures with tilted heads, large eyes, and often a hand resting on the thigh as if frozen mid-thought. But to the Maori, every curve and groove holds meaning. The tilted head symbolizes listening to the wisdom of those who came before, while the oversized eyes represent the ability to perceive both the physical and spiritual worlds. Legends weave through these pendants like the mists of Aotearoa. Some say the first high tiki belonged to Tiki, the mythical progenitor of humanity who shaped the first woman from clay. Others believe they're connected to Hain Tiawewa, a goddess of childbirth, explaining why they're often passed down through maternal lines. One chilling tradition claims certain high tiki contain the actual spirits of ancestors, their mana or life force sealed into the stone during sacred rituals. There are accounts of pendants growing warm to the touch in moments of danger or changing color to warn of impending tragedy. The craftsmanship behind these relics is astonishing. Pounamu, harder than steel, was shaped using sandstone abrasives and drills tipped with diamond-hard quartz. A single pendant could take years to complete, with artisans chanting Karakia prayers to imbue each stroke with intention. The most prized high tiki weren't polished to a shine but left slightly rough, their surfaces whispering like fingerprints, a tactile connection to the hands that carved them generations ago. Trades of these objects were never mere transactions, they were bonds sealed with elaborate ceremonies. A chief gifting a high tiki to an ally wasn't just offering jewelry but a piece of his lineage. Yet the high tiki's power wasn't static. During warfare, warriors wore them for protection, believing the ancestors within could deflect blows. In peacetime, they became mediators, placed on disputed land to symbolize truce, their presence a reminder that both parties shared deeper roots than their conflict. European collectors in the 19th century soon coveted them, leading to heartbreaking losses. Some high tiki were stolen, others sold under duress during land seizures. Today, repatriation efforts see museums returning these treasures to Iwi tribes, often amid emotional ceremonies where elders weep upon reuniting with family unseen for centuries. What makes the high tiki endure isn't just its beauty but its duality. It's both art and ancestor, weapon and peacemaker, personal talisman and tribal archive. Modern Maori artists still carve them, blending traditional motifs with contemporary themes, proving that even in a changing world, some connections to stone, to history, to those who walked before never truly break. And when light catches the Pounamu's depths, it's easy to imagine the faintest echo of voices murmuring across time. Carved into the limestone pillars of Gerbikli Teep, a series of enigmatic symbols stare back at us across 12,000 years, patient, cryptic, and utterly defiant of simple explanation. These aren't mere scratches or random decorations. They're a deliberate language of stone, etched by hands that belonged to a civilization we're only beginning to comprehend. The most haunting of these carvings spiral across Pillar 43, a towering monolith that might just hold the oldest known narrative in human history. At first glance, the pillar's surface seems chaotic, a menagerie of scorpions, vultures, and twisting serpents frozen mid-motion, but look closer and patterns emerge. The animals aren't randomly placed, they're arranged in sequences that mirror celestial constellations. The vulture, for instance, aligns perfectly with the stars of the constellation we call Sagittarius today, while the scorpion mirrors Scorpio's familiar curve. This has led some researchers to propose that the pillar is a star map, marking a catastrophic event like a comet strike or solar storm. One striking cluster of symbols, a circle with a wavy line, bears an uncanny resemblance to ancient depictions of comets, fueling theories that Göbekli Tepe's builders were recording a real cosmic disaster that reshaped their world. Yet the carvings might serve more than astronomical purposes. The sheer variety of creatures, from charging bulls to slithering snakes, hints at a complex spiritual tapestry. Unlike later agricultural societies that worshipped domesticated animals, Göbekli Tepe's art glorifies wild beasts, suggesting a culture deeply connected to untamed nature. Some scholars believe these were totems, each representing different clans that gathered at this sacred site. Others see a darker ritual purpose. The vultures, often shown hovering over headless human figures, could symbolize early death rites where bodies were exposed to birds in a practice known as sky burial. What truly staggers the imagination is the sophistication of the storytelling. The pillar's imagery isn't static, it flows. A fox leaps toward a duck, a boar charges downward, each scene frozen in a sequence that suggests movement, almost like panels in a prehistoric comic. This isn't just art, it's visual narration, possibly recounting myths or ancestral sagas. The most tantalizing detail, some carvings appear to have been reworked over centuries, as if the story itself evolved with each generation's retelling. Göbekli Tepe's greatest shock isn't just its age, it's what that age implies. Built millennia before Stonehenge or the pyramids, this site predates agriculture, pottery, even permanent settlements. That forces us to rewrite history's most basic assumptions. Forget the old idea that humans only built grand monuments after mastering farming. These pillars suggest the opposite, that communal ritual came first, drawing nomadic tribes together in projects so ambitious they may have kickstarted civilization itself. The pillar's unanswered questions are as compelling as its carvings. Why were many of them deliberately buried, sealed under thousands of tons of earth? Was this a ritual act, a way to retire sacred objects, or does it hint at a darker chapter, a crisis that led to the site's abandonment? And how did these builders, without metal tools or written language, achieve such precision? The edges of their carvings remain knife-sharp, their curves mathematically flawless, as if guided by some lost technique we've yet to rediscover. Standing before Pillar 43 today, you're not just looking at art. You're confronting a message in a bottle cast across 12 millennia. Whether it's a warning, a prayer, or simply the joy of creation frozen in stone, one thing is clear. The people of Göbekli Tepe were far more than primitive hunter-gatherers. They were astronomers, storytellers, architects of the invisible, and in the silent language of their carvings, they challenge us to reconsider where and how our story truly began. Among the 8,000 terracotta warriors standing guard over China's first emperor, one figure is conspicuously absent, the general. While infantrymen, archers, and charioteers fill the ranks of Qin Shi Huang's eternal army, not a single statue matching the description of a high-ranking commander has ever been found. This glaring omission has sparked debates among archaeologists for decades. Was the general destroyed in antiquity, hidden in an unexcavated pit, or does his absence hint at a deeper secret about the terracotta army's true purpose? The case for the general's existence is compelling. Ancient Chinese military doctrine meticulously documented command structures, emphasizing the necessity of leadership even in the afterlife. Historical records from the Qin dynasty describe lavish funerary rituals for high-ranking officers, making it unlikely such a pivotal figure would be excluded. Some scholars point to fragments of a shattered terracotta figure discovered in Pit 2, a chest plate adorned with intricate knotwork, a style reserved for elite officers. Could these broken remains belong to the missing general, toppled during the rebellion that followed Qin Shi Huang's death? Others argue the general was never meant to be seen. Infrared scans of the tomb complex reveal anomalies beneath the nearby Mount Lai uncharted chambers that could conceal a command center. If the terracotta army is merely the outer guard, the true centerpiece might lie hidden, waiting for technology advanced enough to explore without damaging the site. There's precedent for such secrecy. The emperor's burial mound itself remains unopened, shielded by booby traps and rivers of mercury described in ancient texts. The most provocative theory suggests the general isn't missing at all because he wasn't made of clay. Some historians propose the emperor himself fulfilled the role, with the army symbolically awaiting orders from his spirit in the afterlife. Supporting this idea, the tomb's layout mirrors the Qin capital, with Pit 1 representing the Imperial Guard and the central mound as the palace. If true, the absence isn't an oversight but a statement. No mortal general could lead an army meant for eternity. Yet the mystery deepens with each new discovery. In 2012, archaeologists unearthed a pit containing terracotta figures unlike any others, officials in civilian robes, not armor. Could these be the strategists guiding the army, rendering a traditional general redundant? Or does their presence hint that the terracotta army's function was more ceremonial than martial, a grand tableau of imperial bureaucracy rather than a battle-ready force? The answer may lie in the soil itself. Recent chemical analyses of the warriors' pigments reveal traces of a unique binder used only for high-status figures, undetected in the excavated statues. This ghostly residue, invisible to the naked eye, could be the general's calling card, evidence of a figure that once stood among his troops, now vanished without a trace. Until the tomb's deepest secrets are revealed, the missing general remains both a question and a clue. A silent sentinel guarding the truth about history's most astonishing funerary monument. From the sun-worshipping artisans of Mu to the star-reading navigators of Babylon, these 30 relics are more than just fragments of the past, they're time machines. Each one carries the fingerprints of civilizations that rose, ruled, and vanished, leaving behind puzzles that still taunt historians today. The golden sun disk's uncanny craftsmanship, the Shangri-La bell's elusive chime, the Nabatean diviner's desert whispers, they all defy the notion that ancient cultures were primitive. Instead, they paint a portrait of geniuses who harnessed gold like sunlight, carved stone like butter, and mapped the heavens without telescopes. What ties these objects together isn't just their beauty or their age, but the questions they refuse to answer. Why did the Olmecs carve a skull so precise it hums? How did the Hittites forge a compass that outshone Renaissance tools? And who, or what, inspired identical crystal skulls across continents? These aren't gaps in history, they're chasms reminding us how much we've forgotten. The relics challenge our arrogance, whispering that empires far older than Rome or Egypt may have grasped secrets we're only rediscovering now. But here's the real magic. These objects aren't locked in the past. The Tartarian sphere's resonance might inspire new acoustic technologies. The Atlantean Energy Core's design could revolutionize sustainable power. Even the war mask of Baal Hammon, for all its horror, forces us to confront how easily ritual becomes weapon. They're not just artifacts, they're mirrors, reflecting both the brilliance and brutality of human ingenuity. So which relic speaks to you? Is it the Minoan Key, still waiting to unlock its labyrinth, or the Indus Valley seals, their silent language daring us to decipher them? Maybe it's the humble sunstone, proving that sometimes the simplest tools hold the greatest power. The conversation doesn't end here. Drop your pick in the comments, and let's keep unraveling these mysteries together. And if you're hungry for more journeys into the unknown, hit subscribe. because history isn't just written in books, it's buried, waiting, and always more astonishing than we imagine. The next lost empire we might uncover